Hey guys, in today's video we're talking about flashes and floaters. This is a very common eye problem that we see in the emergency rooms and in the ophthalmic clinics, and having a basic understanding of this and knowing what to do when a patient presents with it is really key. So we'll start by looking at a model of an eye. I have this model right here to show you guys. So just to go over some of the basic structures, that's the front part of the eye, which has the dome called the cornea. Just behind it is the colored part of the eye, which is called the iris. If I remove the top cover here, you will notice crystalline lens is what refracts light. Also, the back of the iris is visible right here. And if I tilt this over, you'll notice that there is a little cable, which is called the optic nerve, and a bunch of layers right here that basically lines the inside of the eye. So the top layer here is the retina, which is the neurosensory tissue which absorbs the light energy and converts it into electrical signals that the brain then interprets and records as visual stimulus. Just underneath that are a few other layers, such as the choroid, which has all the blood vessels that supply and nourish the back of the eye, and then the white coat, which is the sclera. So the inside chamber of the eye is actually filled in with a gel-like substance called the vitreous. It is 99% water. So when we're younger, the vitreous is very gel-like. It's firmly attached. As we begin to age, the vitreous begins to liquefy. It becomes more watery. And with that process, it starts to separate from the back layers and starts to move to the center of the eye. Sometimes when this process occurs, you may have a few clumps of cells that separate from the back of the eye and start to float in the center. These clumps are called as floaters. They can take many different shapes, such as a circle, a cobweb, a big cloud, or a line. Floaters are fairly mobile. Also, as the vitreous pulls away, it can tug at the retina, and the retina responds to that by producing an electrical signal, which is called as a flash of light. So this process is called posterior vitreous detachment. This is a benign process of aging. 75% of people above the age of 65 develop a posterior vitreous detachment, or a PVD for short. Many people even start developing this process at the age of 40 or 45. No treatment is indicated for floaters or for flashes, but one does need to watch for the complications of PVD. So to go for the complications of PVD, now imagine that if the vitreous is tugging really hard at a particular part of the retina, with the constant physical force, it can actually rip the retina in that particular location, therefore producing a retinal tear. The retinal tear is really an opportunity for the liquid to reach behind the tear and then cause the entire retina to peel off from the back. That process is called a retinal detachment. Depending on the severity of the retinal detachment, either a part of the retina may be detached, or the retina may detach completely, even removing the fovea, which is the center of the vision and the part where the sharpest vision comes from. In the case of a retinal detachment, the symptoms that are often described are a burst of new floaters, persistent flashing light, and a field defect or a curtain of darkness in a particular part of the vision. Prompt diagnosis of a retinal tear or detachment is so important for visual recovery. Time is really tissue in this case. So there are many different types of treatments that can be offered for a retinal tear or detachment. In the case of a retinal tear, laser retinopexy is a great option. This is essentially using the laser energy to photocoagulate or cause fibrosis around the area of the retinal tear. Possible procedures and surgical treatments can be offered, most commonly a vitrectomy, where the vitreous is removed from the eye, tears are identified, laser retinopexy is performed around them. The eye is then filled with a medical gas to heal in its proper anatomical place. So just to recap, a posterior vitreous detachment, or PVD for short, is a natural process of aging. Many people start to develop it at the age of 65. The common symptoms that people will note are flashes and floaters. This condition warrants an ophthalmologic exam, a dilated view of the fundus, so that any possible areas of weakness or retinal tears can be identified early and prevent further complications. If, however, a patient notes a large amount of new floaters, persistent flashes, or field defect, that could actually indicate a larger problem or a complication, and those patients should be referred to an ophthalmologist for an urgent dilated fundus exam to identify any retinal tears and perform treatments as necessary. So that wraps up our discussion on flashes and floaters. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you have other areas you want to go over together, leave me a comment below and I will try to put up a video on that. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So guys, take care, keep learning, and keep asking questions. Bye!